Many people receive their paycheck and feel a relief that doesn't last long. It's as if the money comes in through the front door and runs out the back, silent, without making a sound. At the beginning of the month, you look at your balance and think, this time it'll work out. But before you know it, you're halfway through the month doing calculations, holding back on small purchases, trying to figure out how you'll make it to the end. And the problem is almost never a lack of effort. Most people work hard, hustle, try to save when they can. The problem is that there's a pattern that keeps repeating. You don't lose money all at once. You lose it little by little, in quick decisions, in impulses, in old habits that seem harmless. Many people hear 21 days and immediately think two things at the same time: hope and distrust. Hope because it would be great to see their financial life change quickly. Distrust because deep down, everyone has seen too many promises and too few results. But let me tell you straight, the promise of 21 days to start getting rich can be real. Not as a miracle, not as a lottery, and not as earning a lot from nothing. It can be real as the beginning of a path that most people never take. Stop bleeding money and start accumulating. Because getting rich in real life starts before investing. It starts before earning more. It starts in a place that almost no one wants to look, in habits. If your paycheck is leaking all month long, you might earn more, but it will keep leaking. And then the person lives in an endless cycle, works more, gets more tired, and the money keeps disappearing. Now, when you take 21 days seriously, a turning point happens. You create a period short enough not to seem impossible, but long enough for your brain to stop acting on autopilot. And that's where the promise starts to become real. Think of it this way. If in 21 days you manage to do 3 simple things: hold back impulses, organize your money on the day it arrives, and cut invisible leaks, you're no longer just surviving. You're starting to build. And here's the important part. 21 days work like a lock on the door of your paycheck. When the money arrives and it feels like everyone has an invisible hand pulling a piece away. Bill, small purchase, little installment, app, subscription, interest. In the end, the paycheck becomes a quick visit. It arrives, says hello, and leaves. The 21-day challenge is the opposite. You get your paycheck and say, in practice, now I'm the one in charge. And that's not empty motivation. It becomes reality when you apply one step at a time. So yes, it can be real to start getting rich in 21 days, as long as you understand what that means. It's not getting rich because you found a trick. It's getting rich because you stopped losing what you earn. It's getting rich because you created surplus. It's getting rich because you started building the habit that generates consistency. And there's another detail that almost no one talks about. When you do this for 21 days, you change your financial identity. You stop being the person who tries to save and become the person who has a method. And a method, repeated, turns into results. But I'll be honest, 21 days is the beginning. What turns this promise into something solid is what comes after. That's why the full plan talks about 6 months, because that's where you build consistency, strengthen the habit, and start seeing money staying instead of disappearing. Now, if you want this promise to be real in your life, I'm going to show you the steps the right way, in the right order. And the first one is the most decisive moment of the month. Many people believe the month falls apart gradually, but the truth is that most of the time the month is decided in a single moment, the day the paycheck arrives, because that's where the most common mistake happens. The person receives it and thinks, I'll organize it later, but later almost never comes. The money starts being spent on impulse, bills get paid in a panic, and by the time someone finally tries to get things in order, there's already an installment coming due, an unexpected expense, anxiety creeping in. That's why there's a simple but extremely powerful ritual. It doesn't require a sophisticated app, a complicated spreadsheet, or advanced knowledge. You need 30 minutes of complete focus. 30 minutes that work like a steering wheel. Either you hold the direction of your month, or you let the month take you wherever it wants. The ritual is this. As soon as the paycheck arrives, you divide the money into 3 parts, with a very clear logic. And this logic is what prevents the paycheck from disappearing. Part 1. Fixed bills. What keeps your life running. This includes everything you can't pretend doesn't exist. Rent, electricity, water, internet, school, transportation, loans, any commitment that will show up every month whether you like it or not. The idea is simple. Pay or set aside this amount first, before the money mixes with everything else. Because when you leave it for later, fixed bills become a threat. And when bills become a threat, you spend the entire month with a sense of weight, as if you're always behind. In this moment of the ritual, you look at your bills calmly and make a mature decision. This is covered. And when you do that, the anxiety decreases because your foundation is protected. Part 2. Weekly expenses. The money you can use without guilt. Now comes the part that changes the game for those who always fail when trying to save. You set aside the money you'll use to live through the week, because the mistake many people make is trying to control the entire month all at once. The person looks at the paycheck and says, "I'm going to hold back until the end of the month." But life doesn't work that way. You go to the grocery store, you need transportation, you need small things. If you don't plan for this, you'll spend in the most expensive way possible, improvising. So instead of leaving all the money available, you divide it by week. It can be 4 parts, 1 for each week. Or it can be an amount you know covers food, transportation, small necessities, and some simple leisure. And pay attention. This is not to restrict you. It's to give you freedom with control. When you know what the week's money is, you stop living with that feeling of, can I afford to spend this? You know where you're standing. Part 3. Future, savings and investment before the month swallows it. This is the part that transforms the ritual into wealth building, the future money. Because if you don't set it aside now, the month will set it aside for you. Except the month does it in a cruel way. It sets it aside in the form of interest, installments, late fees, stress, and that feeling of always starting over. The future money can be an emergency fund, it can be a basic and regular investment, it can be a separate account where you accumulate without touching. The amount doesn't need to be high. What needs to be high is the clarity. This money doesn't belong to today's me, it belongs to tomorrow's me. When you're done, you execute the separation. If possible, you transfer to separate accounts, or at least write it down as if it were already separated. Because the secret of the ritual is to take the money out of the field of temptation and place it in the field of decision. At the end of this video, you're not just organizing the month. You're affirming a stance. The paycheck won't be in charge of you. You will be in charge of the paycheck. And now comes the step that makes this even stronger, because it takes discipline out of the realm of effort and puts it on autopilot. Many people say they'll save money when there's something left over. But there's almost never anything left over, because what's left over is what remains after a battle. And at the end of the month, the one who almost always wins that battle is fatigue, rush, temptation, the unexpected, the desire to reward yourself. That's why there's a rule that seems simple but is truly powerful. Pay yourself first. And here's the detail that changes everything. It's not about paying yourself when you remember. It's about paying automatically on the same day the paycheck arrives. Think of your money as a line. If you leave your savings or investment for last, it will always get pushed out. But when you put it at the front of the line, before anything else, it stops being a goal and becomes a system. Why autopilot works. The human mind operates much more in energy-saving mode than in willpower mode. You might have discipline, but no one can rely on willpower every day, every month, forever. And that's why so many people start off motivated and then give up. It's not a lack of character, it's a lack of system. When you automate, you make one mature choice once and reap the reward many times. You don't need to fight with yourself every week. You don't need to negotiate with impulse. You don't need to keep wondering if it'll work out. The money simply goes to the right place before the month creates excuses. How to set it up correctly, even with a small amount. The rule is, on the same day you get paid, you schedule an automatic transfer to a separate account. And that separate account has a clear purpose. It is the future vault. It can be a digital account you don't use day to day. It can be a savings account used only as a reserve. It can be a brokerage with a simple and conservative investment. The name matters little. What matters is the separation and the consistency. Now there's a part that many people overlook, the amount. Many people think it's only worth it if the amount is high. This destroys the process right at the start. The amount needs to be small enough that you won't give up, but serious enough that you'll respect it. It can be a fixed amount like $50, $100, $200. It can be a percentage, 5% of your paycheck. It can be whatever is possible without suffocating you. Because the goal at the beginning is not to impress anyone. It's to build the habit of accumulating. And when you accumulate consistently, a quiet change happens. You start to see money staying. That builds confidence, and confidence increases consistency, and consistency increases the amount. The emotional trick that keeps you on track. When you automate, you create a feeling of, it's already done. Bills may come, the month may get tight, the urge to spend may arise, but there's a piece of your paycheck that's already protected. It's like building a wall before the storm. If it rains, you're inside. If the wind blows, you don't fall into despair. And most importantly, you stop starting from zero every month. What if I need that money later? This is the question that comes up in almost everyone's mind, and it's an honest one. The answer is, that's exactly why you separate by purpose. If you don't yet have an emergency fund, the automatic transfer goes to the emergency fund first. If the emergency fund already exists, the automatic transfer starts going to basic and regular investments. You're not locking up your money. You're creating a protection so your financial life doesn't return to chaos every time something happens. And now, even with autopilot running, there's an enemy that can destroy your 21 days in a matter of seconds: impulse. And impulse lives mainly in one specific place, the card. Many people don't lose money because they can't do math. They lose money because at some point in the day, tired, rushed, or emotional, they make a quick decision. And almost always, that decision has a silent accomplice: the card. The card isn't a villain in itself. The problem is what it allows. Buying without feeling the weight of money leaving. You swipe, it's approved, you smile, you walk away. And the pain comes later when the bill arrives. But by the time the pain arrives, the money is already gone. And then the month turns into a game of pushing problems forward. That's why, in the first 21 days, you make a strategic choice. Remove the card from the center of your life so impulse loses its power. Why exactly 21 days? Because it's enough time to break the habit of swiping on autopilot. In the first few days, you feel the absence because your brain is used to resolving any desire with a quick purchase. But when you hold on a little, something important happens. You start thinking before spending. And thinking before spending is a financial superpower. It's not punishment, it's training. It's like going without sugar for a while to realize how dependent you were. At first it seems hard, then it becomes normal. And when it becomes normal, you regain control. Two options: freeze or reduce the limit. You can do this in two ways and both work. Option 1, freeze it for real. If you use a virtual card, deactivate it. If you use a physical card, put it somewhere out of reach. If you want to get serious, leave it at home, out of your wallet. The idea is simple. If the card is with you, Impulse has a tool. If the card isn't there, impulse has to negotiate with reality. Option 2. Reduce the limit to a minimum amount. If you need to keep the card for some reason, reduce the limit to a level that doesn't allow for damage. A limit that covers only the essentials if necessary, but doesn't allow emotional purchases to turn into a problem. Both options have the same goal: take away the power of impulse, especially in the first few weeks when you're still building the habit. But what if I need to buy something? This is where the smart part comes in. You don't stop buying. You stop buying without planning. During these 21 days, if you need to spend, you do it like this. Debit for what is essential and was already planned. Planned purchases. You write them down first, check if they fit within the week's limit, and buy calmly. This is important because it teaches the brain to operate by a simple rule. Decide first, then buy, and not the other way around. What actually happens when you do this? Most people think it's going to be a huge sacrifice, but what usually happens is different. The month feels lighter, because when the card disappears from your routine, you realize how many purchases were made simply because it was easy. And you start to recover something very valuable, the money that would have been left over if you hadn't had too much ease to spend. And more, you start to feel that the paycheck lasts, not because you became a radical person, but because you stopped giving impulse the key to your month. One detail that changes everything: it's not forever. This is a protocol, a period. After you build the habits, you can go back to using the card intelligently, with an appropriate limit, with clear rules. But at the beginning, you need a safer environment because you're building consistency. And now that the card has lost its power, it's easier to see the part that was stealing your money without you noticing: the invisible leaks. Many people think money disappears because of one big wrong decision, but most of the time, it's not one big decision. It's a bunch of small decisions, repeated, that go unnoticed. And the worst part, when you try to remember where you spent it, it seems like it wasn't anything major. That's the power of the invisible leak. It doesn't scare you in the moment, but it weakens you throughout the entire month. And there are 3 leaks that appear so frequently they seem like part of the routine, except when you add it all up, you realize they're not routine, they're a drain. Leak 1, delivery and snacks, the just this once. This is the most common one because it comes disguised as deserving. You had a tiring day, you get home with no energy, and you think, I deserve this today. And in isolation, it seems small. A snack here, a delivery there, a little sweet, a fancy coffee. The problem isn't one time. The problem is the pattern. Because when this becomes a habit, you don't realize you're buying, along with the food, the convenience. And convenience has a price. When you add up the fees, the extras, the drinks, the small repeated orders, it becomes an amount that, at the end of the month, could have been your savings, could have been the installment that would free you from interest, could have been the money that would give you peace. The smart cut here is not never order again. It's choosing a clear limit, specific days, a maximum amount, and simple substitutions at home. Because the goal is to stop the leak, not to live angry at your own plan. Leak 2, forgotten subscriptions, the money that leaves in silence. This leak is dangerous because it's almost invisible. The amount is usually small, and that's why you ignore it. But it goes out every month, right on schedule, without asking permission. And many times you don't even use the service. Duplicate streaming, an app you tested and forgot, extra storage, a perks club, a service fee, a subscription you signed up for on impulse and never cancelled. It seems like a small thing, but several small things together become a big hole. Here, the rule is simple. If you don't use it, you don't pay for it. And if you do use it, you choose 1 or 2 that are truly worth it. The rest is money walking out the door to fund distraction. When you cut forgotten subscriptions, you don't miss them. You only feel relief. Leak 3, Small installments and interest, the weight you carry without noticing. This is the leak that destroys the paycheck the most because it creates an illusion. The person looks at the installment amount and thinks it's under control. It's just one more small installment. Except the month is already full of small installments. And then, when you add it up, you discover that a huge portion of your paycheck is already committed before you even start living. It's like running with a heavy backpack and still blaming yourself for being slow. And the problem gets worse when interest comes in. Credit card, revolving interest, overdraft, late fees, refinancing. All of this turns money into debt and debt into anxiety. The smart cut here is to look at all your installments and ask yourself which ones are necessary and which ones were just pushed into the future. Because each installment is a piece of your next paycheck that you haven't received yet, but already promised. How these leaks drain your paycheck without you noticing. Delivery steals from you when you're tired. Subscriptions steal from you through forgetting. Installments steal from you through the illusion that it's a little. And when all three are active at the same time, something cruel happens. Even earning well, the person lives tight. And then they think they need to earn more, when in reality, they first need to stop losing. Now, for this cut to work, awareness isn't enough. You need a simple rule that prevents the leak from coming back, especially in the middle of the month when the urge to compensate shows up. After you cut the invisible leaks and take impulse out of the driver's seat, you finally create the part that almost no one manages to achieve: continuity. Because wealth isn't born from one perfect month. Wealth is born from ordinary months, repeated, with consistent decisions. That's why the real plan doesn't end in 21 days. It begins there and consolidates over 6 months. And the logic is simple, no mystery. In month 1, your focus is to stop the bleeding. You cut the leaks, freeze or reduce the card, do the payday ritual, and set up Pay Yourself First on autopilot. This first month is not for you to feel rich. It's for you to feel, for the first time, that you're in control and that the money isn't disappearing without explanation. In months 2 and 3, you strengthen the foundation that prevents your life from going back to zero, the emergency fund. Here you're not investing to become a millionaire. You're buying peace. You're creating a cushion that protects you from unexpected events, prevents you from going back to interest and installments, and gives you stability to keep going without fear. In months 4 to 6, you change phases. With the emergency fund beginning to exist, you increase contributions, even slowly, and maintain the routine as if it were part of your life. The goal here is to turn discipline into normalcy. Because when saving money becomes normal, you stop arguing with yourself and start building with consistency. And now comes the final challenge, very directly, to prove that this isn't just theory. Do it for 21 days. No excuses, no perfectionism, no trying to make everything gigantic. Do it simply, do it sustainably, do it the right way. And on day 22, you look back and answer honestly, did the paycheck leak less or the same? If it leaked less, you've already won the first battle, which is the hardest, stopping the losses. And if you keep going for 6 months, you'll see something that most people never see. Money staying, savings growing, anxiety decreasing, and the feeling of starting from zero disappearing. So here's my request. Do the 21-day challenge and come back to tell me the result. And if you know someone who's always complaining that their money disappears, share this with that person, because one simple decision can change their entire next month. And before you go, let me make one quick request. If this content helped you, subscribe to the channel now, because I post practical videos like this one with simple step-by-step guidance to help you organize your financial life without confusion. And share this video with someone who keeps saying their money disappears and never understands why. Sometimes a person just needs to see the right method once to start turning things around.